Perfect. So good morning, everybody, and welcome today. Appreciate your time this morning. We've got several guests with us this morning. We've got two recently elected supervisors, Glenn Faulkner from the town of Middletown and Maya Bukai from the town of Delhi. They are joining us as you're going to see I think there's 7 new supervisors right now. Five, okay, and so we're gonna be having different members of the Board of Supervisors join us through the first few meetings of the year here, so. Thank you for your time, appreciate you
Thanks for the invite.
Also, we have Chris Price, who's here with us. Chris is Chris is going to be, he's a potential LDC board member, and he's from the town of Hancock. Mike decided to bring him along today so we could see what this is all about. So welcome.
Thank you.
And we've got to go through the process to get you appointed by the county board and so forth. And Glenn will talk to you more about that later. So, good. Can we quick go around the room and introduce ourselves to our 3 guests?
Sure. Glenn Nealis.
Bruce Stahl. I'm Scott White, Wayne Bank.
Noel Goodspeed. I'm in Sydney.
Lindsay Whitbeck, Delaware County Economic Development.
Michael Bryan, Town of Hancock. Christopher Price, watching.
Hi, watching Delhi.
Glenn Faulkner, Middletown.
Sean Penshoff, Delaware County Economic Development.
And you all know. So, good. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and open the meeting. We've got Farida Santana and Wayne Oliver on Zoom.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Sorry. Glenn, this is a packet, kind of condensed packet of what we're going to do. I'll open the meeting and we'll start out. I'd like approval of the minutes from January 26th, please.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like approval of the financials.
So moved.
Do the financials.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay,
My bad.
so on the treasurer's report, there was a late update. Okay, yes. So I just wanted to discuss the Delhi Sewage Works receivable. Just so you understand what that is attributable to is the Delhi Sewage Works Corporations throughout 2023 has been able to cash flow itself, but when there are unexpected repairs and such as that, it does not have the bankroll built up yet to be able to afford those. So in those situations, we do rely on the IDA incurring the cost. So one was related to an emergency break that we had in December. And then another one was to just typical maintenance required of the pump station. So it's new impellers and stuff like that in the pumps themselves. So that's what that's attributable to.
And we build it.
Oh, yeah.
Those things happen. So this is really just a timing on cash flow.
Yes, so it's timing on cash flow to do these. The IDA bills at cost to the Sewer Works Corporation. The Sewer Works Corporation does have an upcharge to cover administrative expenses of going through this process. And so ultimately that is where the Sewer Works Corporation will develop the revenues to not have to rely on the IDA in the future. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
The sewer line that runs down to Fraser's.
Yeah, so for you guys, the IDA previously was the owner, installed the sewer line from the Delhi wastewater treatment plant down to the industries in order to keep them running. In 2022, the end of 2022, Those assets were transferred to the Delhi Sewage Works Corporation, which is a separate LLC, of which the IDA is the sole owner. But everything now is run through the Delhi Sewage Works Corporation. So other than that comment on the IDA Treasury report, I don't have anything to add, nor under the LDC. And then we can jump into everybody's favorite portion of the meeting, the loan report. So starting under the IDA number 3, Sean, you spoke to them. That's our friend in Roxbury.
Oh, yes. So they will be sending in a check, I guess, today for part of the balance. They plan to send another check next week, and their goal is to pay the whole loan off this summer if possible.
Good job.
And, you know, with the balance they're holding, if they get current, you know, it won't be an issue for them to get us fully paid off this summer, and then we can move on from them. Number 9 is also you, Franklin.
Yeah, so they have kind of been ongoing trouble with their revenue stream coming from basically the insurance providers. They are going to also be sending in a check next week for, I believe, 2 payments, and they're going to be trying to catch back up over the next month or so.
Yeah, and so with this one, I asked Sean to so we've been trying to get them on automatic payment, but due to their reimbursement, they're afraid that they would bounce more often than not. So what I asked Sean to relay to them is, that's fine, we'll allow you to continue this, but you have to make your payments in the month it's due. Otherwise, we will declare it in default and, you know, go that process, or then we will force you to go on to automatic withdrawal, and then we'll ding you every time there's late fees and NSF and things like that.
Do our notes have a default rate in them?
In terms of,
If you're 30 days.
30
you
days
have the
late.
Right to increase the rate to.
no, we don't have a default rate, but we can, you know, if 30 days late, we can call them in default, and then we can take whatever action we want.
We should think about that. Probably at 90 days, the rate goes to.
Default rate,
Right,
non-users.
right. Which is sometimes 5% or 6% over the existing rate. It's a little self-defeating, because if they can't pay, how can they pay when you up the rate on them?
Right.
But it's in a stick to try and
Well,
get them.
and also it's
to pay
when
that.
it's, you know, in our business and with our target market, late is not
30 days.
unheard of,
Right,
but
that's why if we say 90 days, you're truly late then.
right, but where we get a little bit up, our backs up a little bit is when if it's late without contact.
Right.
So if nothing else, it would, yeah.
Can they possibly be so close to the line every month? I mean, aren't they busy?
Did you get any of that?
You know, they're basically, the story they keep telling me is that it's just very kind of lumpy in terms of when they receive their revenues being, you know, from the insurers.
Insurance.
My understanding as well is the owner of the business has gotten a second job, and they intend to use that income to.
You can't be that busy.
Yeah, so I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're like just a private, small community provider. And yeah, I think they are on that much of the ragged edge.
I wouldn't be surprised that they probably have a lot of customers that do not have private insurance. And I would assume that their accounts receivable would be staggering.
Can we require some type of report showing client growth or customer growth? I mean, if they're losing more than they're gaining as far as patients, then we know they need to come up with a different solution because it's not working. Because when I go by there, I never see anybody there.
Yeah, we can request full financials.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't we ask them for financials, and that'll tell us a lot.
That's the only one we have that's a medical provider in our book, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of things to learn there.
Yeah, but if the writing's on the wall, they have to come up with a plan to
Yeah.
solve that issue. Because it's just gonna get worse if they're losing clients and the only clients they're seeing are non-paying clients. It's not good. And, you know, maybe they're trading them eggs for
Bushel
services or
basket of corn or
something,
something, you know.
but that don't help
Pre-med
us.
care.
We have late fees.
Yes. And that's the thing, so we do have late fees. So what I was saying earlier is if, you know, Bruce was gonna be late on his loan, you know, our loans are due the first of the month. He was gonna be late, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to pay it to the 15th. If you call us, there's no late fee. And we're like, okay, that's fine. If you're in trouble and you know it's gonna be a couple months, as long as you're communicating with us, it's always been our policy not to then charge late fees, to help them through that period. And sometimes we get a little abused for it.
Well, my point is, sometimes if our late fees are not as high as other bills they're late on, we're gonna be last to be paid.
Right.
We could squeak more. That's the
Okay.
wheel.
Shouldn't
Yeah,
let them sit
exactly.
together. Separate them.
I'm just a guest in this.
Okay, 13 through 15, I haven't made any progress with them. There is somebody that Jim has let me know that is potentially interested in purchasing assets.
So what's the plan there?
There is no plan right now.
There is no plan?
There is no plan. They don't have any
They
money.
closed,
They're
they closed
they're
their door and they
essentially
went to
shut.
Florida and.
Yeah, and when they come back in March, they'll be like, oh, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, we need money.
So we're following the collateral.
And that's surprising because I stopped at another stone shop Wednesday and they were working and busy and stuff was.
Every
coming
other
and
stone
going.
The
shop
industry
in
is
the
doing
county is
well.
doing very well.
They're all doing fantastic.
What's left there to sell?
That's, I mean,
We were
The-
hoping you'd do a drive-by and write it all down for us.
A
so,
lot of rusty equipment there. but
yeah,
Yeah.
the lien list
There's
is,
quarries
the
and-
lien list is a mile long.
There's a lot of.
And who's gonna fight to see who has first out of all these UCC liens that every single one says, you know, all equipment currently owned and hereafter obtained, and, yeah.
Yeah, most of the equipment, you're gonna patch pennies on the dollar when they go to sell it. I mean, it's old, it's
Right.
used, it's beaten up, it's. That's the
Scrap iron has
industry,
some value.
right?
And this,
Yeah,
the
but that's-
potential buyer that I spoke to was looking for a lien list to try and figure out which equipment had liens on it, and which didn't, and we just can't get it.
Yeah, it all does.
The answer is it all does.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
all does, and it
everything's
all
got
has
some sort of
multiple
a
liens
lien.
on it, so
Yeah.
every bulldozer or track loader or whatever is, you know, pledged on a UCC to us, to such and such bank, to this financing company. Yeah,
Should be
Well,
public record.
We learned a lot with our last asset dispersal. I guess we'll put those skills to use now.
Well, yeah, we went into this one knowing that it was gonna blow
Yeah, but
in our face, so
what value is the land in the building?
that's it.
That's where the
Yes.
sale dollars really come out.
yeah,
There's
mortgage.
gotta be more quarries than in Colchester that was sold,
Yeah,
but there must be. Because the rest of these guys they're hogging out, 30-ton pieces of stone as fast as they can, and it's rolling through the village of Hancock all the time on the way to the docks.
Right, to the saw shops.
And then you got one guy that's really should be retired 10 years ago and he's not gonna be able to save it.
No.
I'm not sure.
There's a lot of material on that lot. It's probably $100,000 material on that lot.
For what they owe, that's peanuts.
Well, right, but you gotta start someplace. You
Right,
gotta just
exactly.
methodically
You might be able
go
to
through it.
unload that to one of the other docks.
Yeah, I think we could.
Even the big
Yeah.
30-ton blocks.
Yeah.
But it takes managing.
That's the problem.
I will have another conversation with his prospective buyer.
Cause he's not buying the whole thing. He's just looking for some pieces of equipment.
No, I think he's interested in the whole operation.
That would be nice. Great, that's good.
But I'll
was-
I'll
it's a
restart
tough
that
one.
conversation with him.
Especially when you see all the rest of them are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
That'd be a good project for you.
In your free time.
So,
Like all the other projects, some of them make money.
Yeah.
the industry employs a lot of people. So we have to do what we can to protect that, but a lot of independent people that work on that.
Well, how many people do they employ? Does this particular one employ?
Well,
Yeah,
they
but-
were in the 20 to 25 bracket, then they were down to 9. I don't think there's anybody there now.
No,
Yeah,
there's
but
no
there's-
full-time employees.
But there's probably 150 self-employed individuals
Or
who
even,
were using that.
That are bringing
Right.
product to them. I get that. Yeah.
You know, so if the fallout was huge.
Number 16, we're hoping on a sale was gonna bail us out of that property. You know, the board wisely chose not to move forward with that. And so we've been giving them some time before we were involved. They're saying, so now we're just gonna get back to them. They had been making interim cash payments. They've rung up a big balance, as you can see there.
Did you find out how much the first mortgage is?
Yes, it's $79,000.
79.
Yes, what the purchase price of the property was 5 years ago.
yeah, in and around here.
So that was a privately held mortgage that was never recorded.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the law on that?
Okay,
So Carly's been involved in this and she does agree that they have the priority lien.
We can file it at any time. I mean, they
Yeah, we
go
can,
through-
you know, we've already,
But it's a race preference state. So if you don't file, even if you have one, and we beat you to it, we beat you out of it.
But the first mortgage holder could go tomorrow and file the papers
Right.
if he wants to.
And then
he already
then they're-
has
then they're
submitted
second
his
behind us.
foreclosure papers.
Okay.
Number 19, that was just a missed payment in January. Did you get a chance to catch up with him?
Left them a message.
Yeah. So he non-sufficient funds. He is on automatic withdrawal. Missed one. We're just working with him to get caught up. Number 11 on the LDC.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I want to know about number 24. We're talking code because we're in an open session.
Number 24, we sent him a foreclosure letter, certified mail. Just
So we do have a mortgage?
yes.
Okay.
No, we have
Just
a.
to have-
This is under the IDA loan fund. This is just one of those quickie personal guarantee
we're
loans.
talking about
No
numbers.
collateral.
Can we get a judgment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So our
Okay.
So.
the mailing addresses that we have and the
See the stone company we were talking about?
treasurer's office has. We sent them certified mails. They both got sent back. So we just have to find a correct address. But I do know his daughter. I've been hesitant to put it on her, but I just need to reach out to her and
Not to
say,
be
where
painful,
is he?
but,
Yeah,
hey, we need to
where
find
is he?
dad. Where is he?
Okay. Number 11. So what where we're at now is we've come to, I talked about this last meeting about coming to an agreement with him to get him to partial payments. He, myself and the Village of Sydney have agreed to a 90-day period where he would make payments roughly half of the amount that are due for each of those 3 months. And then we would reassess after that with the intention, the full intention that payments will increase after that to full. We have already submitted the default letter. That's what's brought him back to this. Our attorney right now is just drawing up the paperwork for this interim 90-day agreement. And we're hoping to have that in place with payments restarting March 1st. And all the parties are on board with that. Number 20, Tabitha has been working this one. He is making extra payments. I just don't have that many details on it at this point. Tab was out yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to touch base with her. But he is making payments in excess of what his normal monthly payment are as a catch up, but it will be a while before he catches up. Number 30, 33, 34, 35, those are all with one primary individual. They relate to issues we were having in the spring when he switched bank accounts. And again, we're working on developing a plan for getting him. He's been paying current since we've got the bank accounts all situated and addressed. He is on auto pay. So since July, because I think it was April, May, June, maybe it was March, April, May, June, we had this issue where 4 payments were non-sufficient funds. When we went to draw them, new account now. So since July, you know, the payments are coming out with no issue. We're just developing a plan to get caught up.
Is he looking to sell the property?
No, he was hoping for a good snowy winter because he does do a good snowmobile business. And well, that didn't happen.
It's over.
Yeah. So now, you know, it's really going to be, I mean, we can get some tokens out of him through the spring, but it's not really going to be until we get into May when it's actually nice outside. That's when they do the best business because, you know, they have it set up as halfway outside location.
And Glenn, that ties into number 30 as well?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
37, just striking out all over, although I did get a recent contact of somebody who might be interested in handling collections for us. A local attorney.
Okay.
Yeah. So not quite ready to give up on that yet. I just have to have a conversation with him.
On this one or all?
Well, definitely on 37, and I would throw in number 16 on the IDA side. To just have a little heavy hitter than Carly's willing to be. And I would like to have another conversation with the owner of the business that's listed under 13, 14, 15 of the IDA. And then if that doesn't work out, that's going to be such a mess. We just need to do what we can to protect ourselves. I just don't think there's any protection to be had.
That was Millennium, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if we collect it, you'll give it back to
To
town of Hancock, town of Deposit.
What?
Back
Yeah,
into,
say what?
back into lending.
Excuse
and
me?
that.
Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to be a revolving loan fund, not a
Yeah.
one-way fund.
Yeah,
We established ownership of that a long time ago.
there's a block of granite there somewhere.
All right, so a little wordy this month. but we're working on it. Are there any other questions
Okay.
on loan report?
If not, can I have a motion for the financial reports and the pay the bills?
So moved.
Second,
Go for it, Mike.
I'm out on a limb here. All right, I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I shouldn't make the motion or second it since I'm treasurer, so.
Glenn,
They know it.
did you want to do more on sewer work?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I didn't get it. I got held up on this wonderful investment opportunity I'm gonna be presenting to the LDC later. So I didn't get a chance to do all of my work on the Sewer Works Corporation. Other than just what I mentioned about the payable, everything's fine. And this is incorporated in our annual audit. I just want to clarify that. I'm sorry, I don't have the monthly financials, but I just didn't get a chance to work on them. I will get them.
While we're talking about the annual audit, will we also be doing the sewer works work?
Yes, so because the IDA is the sole owner, they treat it as essentially a sub-business of the IDA
Okay,
and are bringing it in at a added cost.
yeah, of course.
Yes, exactly. Which will be passed on.
Well, a while ago, we talked about the long-term assets of the Delhi Sewer Works.
Yes.
Moving them into have we done that yet? Have we moved those assets into the proper?
That's, as part of this audit, we're gonna be addressing that with our auditors, moving that, showing the value of those assets under Sewer Works Corp.
Okay, thank you.
That's part of the work we'll be doing this year under the audit.
2 miles of pipe and a pump.
What about those boots we bought land?
Okay, let's move on to ACO.
Okay, so ACO, just, there's a lot of talk and concern about ACO. So I put in your packet some of the items in respect to ACO. There's really two sides of it. What's gonna happen to the property, facility, and then the employees. So focusing on the facility, it is being marketed through Cushman Wakeman. And a local rep from them is a woman I've dealt with, all the way back since the Becton Dickinson days. So that's, a long time ago. And so she's good to work with. I had a long conversation with her. They are marketing it for sale. It is not going to be something that they can, at this stage, something that they would consider gifting to the local municipality for redevelopment or stuff like that. They are listing it for sale. They are anticipating at least a sales price of at least $25 per square foot, which puts it right in the $19 million range. So if any of you guys are interested in taking a chance, I can hook you up with Maureen and you guys can start talking about it. But the Village of Sydney and the IDA had spoke about working collaboratively if there was an opportunity, but 19 million is out of everybody's ballpark. So.
Well, it's relatively new building, large,
Oh, yeah. No, I think.
It's worth it.
alongside the highway.
Mhm.
Glenn,
Awesome.
does Empire State Development still have this site finder?
No, they've switched over. They've switched over to a new platform. But really, basically, the way it works is anytime they have a lead in the southern tier, they send out an email and they expect you to load it. So
Okay,
while there is a system, nobody really uses it.
all right,
It just comes out on individual things each time.
okay.
Glenn, one of the people that's not listed here under largest regional manufacturers would be Covidian.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've got any interest in it, but at some point, we gotta pass this on to them.
well, so Covidian is currently operating right around 50% of their current facility.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, so separately on a different project, we're working with them to essentially increase their production levels there and get back up to 60-70% capacity usage of the building.
Is that
So
equipment needs or
Yeah.
labor
it's
needs?
gonna be replacement of equipment. They've got outdated equipment. Some more modernization, other than replacement of retirees. Job creation of, I forget the number they're at now, it's on the tip of my tongue. But I don't want to mischaracterize it since we are being recorded. They have like 85 positions that will be attributable to turnover. And then they're probably talking about 35 new once this program does come. That's going to be about a $27-29 million project that hopefully will gain steam this spring and summer. We ran into issues last filing season when we did apply for a grant on their behalf. Well, we wrote it on their behalf with the state, just with their whole opioid settlement and the bankruptcy of the primary company as part of the resettlement of the settlement agreement and things like that. It just created some red flags for the state. Not that it's killed it, but it's going to move forward. That was just a small test the waters project, probably around $8 million. And then in addition to that, there would be a much larger one on the back end. Then also on Echo, I included in there, I took off all the names and everything like that, but just the schedule of layoffs for there. And I think I provided a summary of what it's going to be per cycle. It's basically going to be payroll cycles starting in September of this year. So our OET office has been working closely with them. In terms of the types of services and things we're going to provide, Echo's being very cooperative with that. Now that they have it settled and it's public, we're going to be setting up on-site premise to work with their employees that are getting laid off and job fairs and assisting, every company in the area is looking for employees, and we've got a list of like 10 or 12 that are interested. So we're gonna, do some open houses and some job fairs on site there in addition to normal things to help them find new employment.
Okay, Glenn, you want to run right down to property development?
Yeah, some of these things are, things that I have in mind that I want to work in, and whether I make progress on them or not. So just wanted to bring to the board's attention, and I put the closing statement in the board packet. The day before we were going to sell this property, it came to our attention that the heating system was completely shot. And so
How does this stuff happen?
Yeah. So we looked at doing a couple Band-Aid solutions, and then I brought in the purchaser into the conversation, just because I felt he needed to, have his say in it too. What we decided is instead of a Band-Aid solution, which the $8,000 credit was based on, he's decided he wanted to just replace the entire system. It's 15. And then I told him we would still give him the 8,000 credit. He was happy with splitting the cost on it. So just wanted to bring that to your attention that we did at the last minute have to provide an $8,000 credit to the purchaser.
That was a good decision.
Yeah, I didn't want to hold up a sale.
Right.
Yeah, not for that amount.
And 8,000 was pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so part of that was because he's in that business or at least adjacent to it. So there's things he can do. It would have been much more if we had to do the whole
We're
thing.
buying it retail, he's buying it wholesale.
Mhm.
It's good for both of us.
Yeah. So Burton Street, I was hoping to get further this week on that. I don't really have anything to report, just,
I keep waiting. Every time I drive down the hill, I'm waiting. I
Yes.
come around the corner and I'm like, darn, not this week.
yeah, I do have, a couple meetings set up next week to start making progress on what we want to do with that. And what the pros and cons of any further investment or, disposals are, in regards to that property. 135 Delaware Avenue. This is just one, we've been, trying to market the building for a while now. It's been with, I forget what company Jackie Rose is with, but it's been with them for a while, and the building on it is just a liability, and we can't do anything with it. So I'd like to, with board approval, get an estimate for knocking it down with the intention of most likely, subject to subsequent board approval, knocking it down and just creating a vacant lot.
Does it have a shared wall or did we turn?
It has a shared wall, but we,
Thought we thought it was 2 rows of.
so not a shared wall, they're abutting walls.
Right.
So if you're careful, yes, you can take one down without any damage to the
The
other.
roof isn't
Go
shared.
ahead.
though?
Excuse me?
I thought the roof was shared. It was.
No, it is, there's
There
a,
is
there's a separate
yeah, okay,
seam down the
great.
middle. Yeah,
Glenn, I sent you an email with a mailer that I got from the state about a Restore New York program. We're getting rid of derelict
yeah,
buildings,
yeah,
and
I got that. I didn't have a chance to
I
respond.
didn't
Yes,
know
I'm gonna
whether
be
that-
looking into that.
whether that would work for this.
Yeah.
demo or not.
Mhm.
Good.
So do you need a motion to look at the cost of tearing it down?
Well, no, because I won't incur any costs at that,
Okay.
for that. It's just, do you agree? Let's do it. I don't want to look at it. So I guess what I'm saying is if I get that estimate, this is the direction I think we should move in. Does the board agree?
I agree with you, the building needs to come down.
Right.
We're gonna get sued sooner or later.
Because, again, my last visit there was to, buy about $60 worth of chains and locks. And then I forget what the 2x4s and wood cost me and screws to close up the doors because it just keeps getting broken into and it's not for a community friendly purpose.
It's a party house.
Yeah. So, okay. And then number 4 under that Airport Road, I did provide that information in your packet. We've been offered a piece of property down in deposit on Airport Road. It's 14 acres, 100% in the floodplain. But it is adjacent to what is now the Sportsfield Specialties deposit location, as well as Lignetics, which is the wood pellet manufacturer. So it is in an industrial area. He had an offer for on the property of $135,000. I've reached out to him to find out who that was. I haven't heard back from him yet. My opinion is if it's a private sector company who has a plan to utilize it, then
Go for it. Why do we need? to be
exactly, then why would we get involved? Because this
Why
is
would we step into that?
right. This is not a piece of property that, if we're in for 135, that's the selling price. If we go to sell it, we'll be lucky to get 135.
Well, that
So-
property is highly restricted because of the floodplain location.
Right,
The only thing you can do is, number one, it has to be an agricultural type business. Because they've got the floodplain redevelopment prohibited except for ag. Number two, any buildings that go in there have to be elevated above the flood elevation.
Yeah.
And so you gotta find just the right business to go in there.
So,
It says I have several parties wanting to buy it, and I'm gonna go with the highest bidder. That's awesome. Go
Right,
ahead.
that was kind
We
of
really want
my,
you to go for it.
thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and for us, develop, it's gonna cost twice as much, because we have to pay prevailing wage, and then the private sector isn't going to have to. So let somebody else develop it.
There's no future for that one.
It's like we did with Kadosha. We never really bought Kadosha. Now you got somebody really developing the thing, and we stand ready to help them.
right,
The other thing is a while back, we discussed that the IDA put like 300,000 into pumps and wells in that area, but we weren't sure that anything had ever been.
we put the sewer and water line in, back, this was when I first got here, the project was already underway. Put it in, received a grant. I mean, I know that's still money, but it wasn't IDA money, but it's still money to put in sewer and water to support the plans at that time of Indian country. Well, when the owner of that company passed away, and maybe even a little bit before that, those plans all did not come to fruition. And I can't tell you now if that water or sewer line has ever been charged.
Well, that's the point I was going to make is Sportsfield Specialties is going to attract more people around them. And if we put that stuff in there and we're not sure that it's ever been serviced or worked, we might want to take a look at it.
Mhm.
So if somebody else shows up and wants to go in there, we're ready to go.
Isn't that stuff owned by the village
It's owned by the
or
town
town?
to the town line and then village
Yeah.
from village
Yeah.
line up.
But if we need to assist them in checking it out, whatever way we can, would be beneficial.
Yes, I will find that out.
Even if we help them apply for grants to make sure or extend it farther.
Okay. All right, yes, I will look into that. And then as far as the offer goes, we're a thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
Sell it to the people who are already have plans. Okay.
Okay. Masterson Properties.
So this is sort of a heads up. I was expecting to receive it by now and it didn't come in yet. This company is going to be sold. I've had a couple conversations with a representative of the new company. They are interested in assuming the terms of the pilot agreement that we have with them. They have 2 years left on, I don't know how to, I guess I've already said the name of the company, but one of their locations right in the hamlet of Roxbury has 2 years left on its pilot agreement. And then their new project out on County Route 41 has 6 years left on their pilot agreement. They are asking to pick up the same terms as provided to Masterson Properties. I thought I would have the application yesterday. I didn't receive it. But that's why it's on there and.
We don't lose nothing with it. We already
Right.
agreed to it, so why not just continue it?
Mhm.
Give them a step up to get started.
Okay, so I'll have more on that later. On the positive side of that is when that occurs, well, then we'll get our loans paid off. So,
That's always a good thing.
yes, exactly.
Um,
Oh, so business development services. I don't have anything concrete to present, just an idea. I was speaking with a local woman, and Wayne, you'll probably guess pretty quickly who I'm talking of, who does business consulting services, really of a much larger basis or for much larger companies than we have in Delaware County. But as a side gig or as time allows, or as she has interest in helping businesses within the local community. So she's an engineer by trade, focusing mostly on, in her previous jobs, mostly on technology integration and how it fits in a manufacturing process and facility. And but also even just in terms of, setting up lines and production processes and things like that, that there would potentially be value to add to assist some of our small businesses in identifying needs that they have as they're growing their business. I have one specific example in mind. I don't know how to say it in public session without giving it away, but it's a local business that is on the verge of substantially increasing their production capacity. And while the person is very knowledgeable in what their plan is and what they're attempting to do, at this stage of their business, they get pulled in a million different directions, and they are addressing the fire of today rather than fully thinking out the process forward. And so in talking with this woman, and this was honestly more my idea than hers, she was, basically looking for recommendations of what her normal work would be. And I suggested this as a sideline, that she would come in and do an assessment on a business. It would, in terms of all aspects of their business, from production through processing, through all types of financial management and employee management and things of that nature, and come up with a strategy or plan for them to implement to benefit their business if they agree with it. The implementation of that would result in a contract with her to help them through that process, for which she would get paid by the company. But what I was thinking of is, we've talked about it a lot, about the higher level business development services that we currently don't necessarily have the time or capacity to provide. If there is somebody out there who's doing it, would the IDA consider paying for that initial assessment of the business, of what it would be, and of what that plan for their growth would be, and or even how to adjust their processes to make to be more sustainable and things like that. And so I had this conversation. This person then is on vacation, over which they're thinking about the whole thing and gonna get back. If you guys are interested in hearing more, I was gonna invite her to the March meeting, if you guys think that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Glenn and I discussed this earlier, and I'm very much in favor of doing this, because I think this differentiates us from everybody else. And this is exactly what we need to do, is to become more professional and help businesses more
We do
than
this
just
with
being a
our,
lender of last resort
didn't we do this with our friend in Deposit a
Yes.
couple of times? And that worked out very well.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It did.
mean, it did what it did.
Mhm.
That sounds.
Yeah, it got them to the point
Where we are today.
where we are today. Yeah.
But I think if we can get to the point where we've got a resource ready to work with us locally here to help businesses out, that just really gives us a leg up, and it looks better overall.
Yeah, she's a very talented individual. It's definitely a value added proposition. We should at least listen to her and see if it fits what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And again, if she is interested and we come back in March, what I would be is like, let's just try it once. All right. Before we settle into, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and all, let's try it once, see if it works, see if everybody's happy. Because part of the success is not only that it gets done, but, and I've talked to her about this, is if the business doesn't buy into it, well then it's a waste of our money and it's a waste of her time, and she agrees. So, you know, you can tell people, and we've done this a lot, and I'm gonna say it in the wrong terms, but we can tell people what's wrong with their business and what they need to do, but they don't necessarily want to listen. So,
You have a borderline application, you can make it a condition of the loan.
well, I was also thinking that at least at first, if, again, we're a couple ifs down the road, but if we decided to move forward, if she's interested, if we find value in it, I think the place to start would be to target some of our existing loans and move on from there. And then maybe for certain ones, yeah, maybe this would be a condition. If they're in that niche of a category where she could add value, yeah. Okay,
Good, yeah.
all right.
Okay, any other project updates, Glenn?
So Sean, do you want to do the website?
Can do it today.
Perfect.
Okay.
While we're pausing, my partner in crime has pointed out that on the LDC number 53, the amount borrowed is considerably less than the amount owed. It's probably just a typo, but I know I should never second any financial.
Yeah, so what happened, so
Me again.
I'm presuming what happened is there are actually two loans on that client. And when we had them listed separately, and Tab and I have been working on the presentation of the loan report, and there's some things we still want to improve on. We consolidated them, and the
One balance in there.
one balance didn't get added to it. So the original total balance was 150.
And if you're,
But we made it in two separate loans.
if you're looking
He's
to,
cutting me loose already.
Yeah.
if you're looking for a suggestion, maybe a simple one is just rate justify the numbers.
Is which?
Right justify the numbers, so, because otherwise they don't line up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bad together.
Okay, thanks.
You're going to get Glenn some food, he's gonna need it for the next part. So
I'm ready to roll. I went to bed early last night.
woke up often.
Probably not gonna help.
So this is the new website for the IDA. It's gonna be part of a larger redevelopment that we're gonna have. The Economic Development Office website as part of it, but the priority was to get the IDA LDC website built and ready to go for compliance purposes. So basically, brief intro on what we do. We have everyone's bios here. If you don't like the picture I found of you on the internet, please send me one. And so part of the idea behind this, one of the ideas with this is for IDA owned properties, especially properties we're seeking to sell or have redeveloped, we can have that on here and we can list the property, the size, have a photo of the property, so that people can see what we have available, what we're looking to redevelop. So this is really a placeholder for that. I think there's probably a larger discussion around what properties we want to publicize for sale and for redevelopment. And then essentially we have all of our compliance items down here. We can embed the latest video of our meetings on the site, and then we can click out to the YouTube where the rest of the videos are stored. And we also have all of our continuing disclosure items. Just click on them.
Sure, one thing on the compliance side for our meetings that I think that we're missing is that we're supposed to publish technically, we're supposed to publish this Zoom connection information. And we stopped doing that because we got hacked at one time and somebody broke in the middle of one of our meetings. It wasn't pleasant. So we stopped publicizing the Zoom link. I wondered if we could comply with the state requirements by just putting a notice on there that, we meet, put our meetings, I assume our meeting schedule is going to be in here. And say that if you're interested and wanna watch the meeting live, contact the office and register to get the Zoom link. And that way we know who's got the Zoom link and
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can
that'd be a good way to do it.
control things a little bit.
And it has to be online. You can't force them to come here.
No, it
Right.
has to be
Yeah, I
live.
think I asked that last.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a bad experience. One meeting.
It's not just you, I think schools had the same issue and there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, that person was really nasty.
Okay, sorry.
No, all good. Anyone has any questions or thoughts? for
Just
us?
a question on do we have to publish the bios?
Yes,
Yes.
We're not putting emails, so.
no, not contact information, but it has to show your credentials.
Right, it's just.
How did you get to this august position?
It's a fraud avenue. It's the only
Yeah.
reason they say it.
Yeah, but no direct contact information.
So, call the office and say, hey, I was talking to, Noel or Glenn, because they can see it all there and say, we were looking at moving that money from, this account to that account. Social engineering stuff. Something to think about.
So. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I believe that's, I think unfortunately it's a requirement.
Right.
With the state, right?
Yeah.
To have one.
But could it be a requirement that they have to call to get it? Could we put a roadblock there so that, it's not just public information? I mean, people in the other side of the world are just, they're doing this stuff all the time.
Yeah,
yeah, but in terms of making that transaction happen, it's gotta go through 3 people in our office before.
I can show you stuff that would,
Make your head spin
Yeah.
and your head pop off.
Okay.
Noel, can you work with Glenn and talk about some of
sure,
that
yeah,
stuff
absolutely.
offline? Because, I hear what you're saying, but yeah, we're governed by the Authority Budget Office
Understood.
in Albany. And we have to comply with their rules.
Might be worth checking out, another, few different IDAs to see what they're doing. If
Yeah.
They all have it,
They do.
yeah, and many of them have contact information in there.
Yeah.
Because, so we don't, and we're not gonna, but. The public accountability side is that the state wants somebody to be able to contact you if they don't like what you decided at a meeting.
yeah, but
It's
without
not very hard
providing
to
it,
figure that out either.
Right,
You can reverse think that very quickly. It doesn't have to have a link right up on that.
oh yeah, that's why we won't do it,
Scott White, let's find
Yeah.
out about Scott White.
right,
right,
we have that general info email.
if they wanna find us, they will.
Yeah.
But Noel's right, the reverse engineering and the
Social.
ability to be fished happens constant.
Yep.
I was fished yesterday. I was just smart enough not to take the hook.
someone wanted to meet with you to become friends and possibly more.
It was a Canadian attorney.
Oh.
He needed to have 13 million
Just
split
say
up.
it's that Nigerian prince that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been with that guy a couple times. That Nigerian.
Did you have fun with it?
Yeah, but that's something that I think we should discuss.
Mhm.
See what our alternatives are.
You have more?
This is.
Fantastic.
When will it be live?
We could go live probably as soon as next week, following week. I just need to get the back end stuff connected.
And talk to Noel first.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's a lot better than what we had, and we are in compliance with the comptroller's office, so.
Well, thank you for doing that. 'Cause idea you get a black eye from everybody.
Good, thank you.
Lindsay, did you want to talk a little bit about ag?
Sure, I brought this binder just to kind of show everybody, this is what I bring to meet with the farmers. It's basically got all the grants information right there in front of them so they can look at it. Within the next couple of weeks, Glenn and I plan on getting together and going over a list of questions. And with that, I'll kind of go out and talk to the farmers and get an idea, I guess, of what is going to make their farm last, not just lowering their taxes, but like how can we help make their farm succeed in the next generation? So that will be my project next, and we have funds that we plan on. How would you say?
Yeah, so basically what we're anticipating is hopefully finding some common threads about what can benefit ag producers in our county. And then Lindsay and I would subsequently try to develop a program to help it meet those needs with the intention of applying for funding this summer to move forward.
That's all.
That's kind of it, yeah. that's
Kind of
it.
just thinking
Sure.
around on the same projects and
Thank you, Lindsay.
Do you attend the WAC meetings?
which ones?
Um,
I go to the-
Watershed Ag Council. They have funding inside the watershed for doing that transition to farms and all that, so it might behoove you to zoom in on a meeting.
Like the economic viability program that they have?
Well, they have all different ones, and they're working with outside agencies to try it. There's been some very successful ones done. Gideon Frisbee is one of them. If you know Gideon, having a conversation with him might help link you into some of that information.
Yeah, I have talked to Gideon a couple times after core group, and also it is like pulling my teeth out to try and get a hold of Kristen Morley. And I finally got a hold of her and was able to get some more information, so.
So you're already doing that.
Yeah, and I, you know,
Good.
sometimes I try and get on the Zoom meetings that they have, and just like if it's informative to me, then I'll get on and,
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one other thing, because I know the board members got the request for the declination letter. Did that go out to everybody from our last meeting when we,
The one that we turned down?
Yes.
Yes.
okay,
We did
so.
all get that.
Yeah, so just to let you know, it wasn't my top priority, but I did finally get to it yesterday. And, because I have gotten a press inquiry regarding it. So my statement to them was that we consider our correspondence to be confidential, but that if the borrower wants to, the applicant wants to release it, then that's fine. So in the letter, I just cited things regarding, financial stability, including the undercapitalization, their ability to seek other funding to support their business based on everything that was presented in their packet. Their lack of proof of the ability to provide the owner equity that they were claiming, the revenue and expense projections that we just didn't buy into, so that, and then the sufficiency of collateral, or specifically the insufficiency of collateral, and all the things of why we felt it was insufficient. And then also their lack of any alternative funding streams to support that service. So those are the items that we hit on there.
And that was a letter that you sent to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we may end up having this litigated in the press to some degree.
Yep, yeah, but I've got a good relationship with the reporter. The editor, on the other hand, not so much, but the reporter, I'm fine with. That's all right. That's a little call out to him. I'm fine with that.
Right.
Yep. So yeah, so I just wanted, since everybody got it, I just wanted to let you know that I did follow up on that.
Okay.
I know everybody's looking forward to our discussions under the LDC, so unless there's questions, I'm willing to stop under the IDA.
Okay, any other old or new business? I've kind of a motion to adjourn the IDA, please. Second, thank you. I'll open the LDC and run through the preliminaries here. I have approval of the minutes from January 26th.
Second.
All in favor? Approval of the financial reports, which we've already reviewed. And pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sean has prepared some draft borrowing guidelines for us to discuss. And we thought, remember that at our last meeting, we thought that it would be a good idea to get the guidelines in writing so that everybody's on the same page. And Sean took a stab at it, so I'd like to turn it over to him.
Ready. So, we've had a bit of feedback already, from Jim and Scott, which is definitely helpful. Jim brought up under the business age concern that we would be kind of keeping startup businesses out. I'm going to be adding language to this that says, preference for businesses operating for at least 2 years to just, demonstrate a track record. However, we can and do work with startup businesses that can prove, sufficient financial position.
And most startups really get started out of their garage or their kitchen, and they'll go for a couple of years just running off of a credit card or out of their home checking account before they're big enough to then come to us and want to expand.
I just didn't want to paint ourselves into a corner.
And
That's
I
all.
thought you had in here
And
something
also-
about $50,000 in annual sales. Maybe
We
took that out, but
took that out, yeah.
that was something that we had talked about, that if you've got a 50% cost of goods sold, now you're down to 25,000.
Yeah.
And that really doesn't include your internet or your lights or anything else and what's left over. And we really want this business to contribute to the household income or be the household income. When you get under $15,000, not even a hundred should live on that.
Yeah, so we did take that revenue number out.
Okay.
Trying to just make it a little bit more accessible, I think is the idea. Trying to make it, especially for a newer business. Main takeaway on this, the idea behind this document is that it can lead to, once we have established what our guidelines are, we can use this to kind of create a one-pager that we can include in the application, include on the website that enables people to kind of understand what the process is, what we're looking for. We can use this to kind of build an internal model for when we underwrite a loan. We make sure we're meeting these requirements. But yeah, I think, any feedback or comments on this?
Yeah, especially
Probably
on
the-
the ratios
Yeah.
there, I mean,
Probably the best way to even do this would be that if people want to put that down in writing, we can just kind of take everything and take another turn on the draft and, incorporate those.
So we would be considering these as guidelines, not as hard policy.
that's correct.
That's exactly right.
In other words, we're not gonna use this as a reason to deny people for certain. But if people apply, these would be the guidelines of what things we would consider.
It's what we expect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, my one concern with this, and I've talked to Sean about it, and, again, this is a draft and it may get massaged in the future. My opinion is that, a specific, especially with board guidelines that we're not to compete with banks. I just feel that startup businesses, no matter how hairy and ugly they are, that should be our core. Traditionally, half of our loans in any given year are to startup businesses. So that first phrase scares me a little bit, or I'm worried would scare off potential small businesses. So Sean and I will, collegially debate the wording on that. Yeah, other than that, and,
But when can be overridden with substantial personal income, personal guarantee or.
yeah, but the first line is no. Our first line shouldn't be no. That's just my opinion. Yeah, obviously, it's a board decision, but, I just would like to massage that a little bit.
So I don't mind this proof of concept idea.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah.
And how you want to word that and what it takes to get proof of concept is a couple of years.
Yeah, but at that point, then they would just go to a bank.
Probably not.
Well, it depends on what a couple of years, if we're gonna count the fact that they've been doing this on nights and weekends for a year as having been in business, well, yeah, then that's different.
And
And that's why we allow the
kept their day
flexibility.
job and.
Right.
Right.
Okay, the other thing is there, the FICO score that you got set, that would eliminate half the.
Probability
It
of
could be,
repayment goes way down below 665.
Yeah.
I was thinking 650.
Statistically, we've got that and it just way off the cliff.
Right, but that is taking the whole category of people that we've already approved loans and saying it comes in future growth, they
So
would never
we have
qualify.
this saying, which is leopards don't change their spots.
Yeah, okay.
If you always paid poorly, you will always pay poorly. People who always make bad decisions just continue to, and their credit score is that. So I don't ever turn somebody down. They turn themselves down
Mhm.
by having made bad decisions and having
Okay,
made bad financial decisions as well.
okay,
We're just judging the homework. We're like the teacher. Do over.
yeah,
Come back when you're not screwing your tax returns quite as hard.
okay.
all right. But yeah, so if we could get feedback from all the board members, I'd like to say next week or something, that would be great. And even if you have no comment, just say no comment. That would be, so then we can move forward.
Pushing pretty hard. I got this thing like Tuesday night.
It's one
Wednesday
page,
morning.
it's one page.
Next week, you wanna.
That's two
You watching
pages.
a Taylor Swift concert? What are you
Yes, I
doing?
They were in the zoo, her and Travis.
Oh, see,
All right, 10 days, 10 days.
Okay, any other questions on that? Good.
I'd like to bring in two other guests.
All right,
So, Joanne Kudrylitz and Ziza, I forget her last name, are gonna be here. They're in regards to the loan we'll be considering. I'd asked Joanne to come in to just give it an objective overview of the development of this industry and especially the retail marketplace, as well as their experience in terms of new retail outlets that they are specifically working with.
so we want to go into executive session for this part of it.
Probably should. Well, no, if it's.
Not for
just-
the topics
just-
I've asked them to come
Okay.
in on.
All right.
We could switch over if we felt necessary.
We're just talking about the industry in general, right?
Yeah, you're welcome to stay and listen to talk about the industry. Okay,
There you are.
good.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah.
There's a lot to that.
Yeah, I suspect.
Oh, yeah. Nice to-
Having any fun yet?
Still drinking through the fire hose.
Totally have one foot under me. Are we on this side?
Here, let
I'm used to
me,
being
no,
on
let
that
me
side
move
or
my
something.
stuff and you guys can sit here and we'll bring another chair down.
Hi.
I wanted to send it down before I forgot.
I think this could be that way.
Oh, yeah.
I can stay there.
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a lot of fun.
Takes off.
How are things in
Give me a
market?
chair where I'm sitting on the floor.
Very good.
Quarry guy that goes in special
No,
it's
Yeah, the last go around.
Okay, good.
No. Yeah.
So-
I think one of the things to do is the markets.
I'm used to being
Fair
Tried
enough,
to be
it's
nice
like a big thing for Westminster. So it's so busy. Yeah.
Yeah, we got.
It's got a corner open.
Yeah.
And it's just finding out.
I don't have grudges against anybody else.
So we mean turn left.
And is what's
Left,
still
so
up there?
Thanks.
Yeah.
They're reputable people.
Oh, I have contacts.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Do you think,
Okay. As part of your packet, we had the loan presentation from Ravens View.
I've
But I thought it would be, we thought it'd be helpful to have a discussion or a presentation on what the actual marketplace of this industry is like and what markets are appearing out there. And, this is Gwen Faulkner from the town of Middletown, supervisor, and Maya Bukai, who's the
Congratulations, it's great to have you in Delhi.
supervisor.
We're very happy to have you. Yeah. All right, so I'm Joanne Kadrevich from Ravensview Genetics. I have been presenting about our business in this forum at least 3 times, but there's a lot of new faces. So I'll just give you a brief overview background and then, feel free to ask any questions. We're in Delhi, we're on Back River Road. We're cannabis cultivators under a conditional license that was awarded to us for 2 years, and which expires on May 20th. And so we're on Back River Road. So if anyone's driven past there, you've seen us grow literally, and maybe roll down your windows at the harvest time. So when I say our license is expiring, it was meant to be conditional for 2 years. We had an opportunity to be first to market as cultivators because New York State wanted to, they have a huge social equity program as it relates to cannabis when it became legal. And what that means for growers is that the people that were in the hemp market who were distressed, what they're calling distressed farmers, so to speak, because the hemp market tanked, had an opportunity to get in and get a conditional license to get started before anyone else had a chance to do it in the state. So my husband, Michael, who's the cultivator, had produced seeds for the hemp farmers. He had rented one greenhouse, produced 400,000 seeds, and sold seeds and seed starts. And that's how we got our start. That's how we were eligible for this license. We didn't have any infrastructure in place because we hadn't been growing in greenhouses or doing anything of that nature. So when we got this license, we put everything we personally had into building infrastructure. And then we started immediately. We had been planning for this, as I think Glenn and Jim know, because we've been talking to them for a long time. I come from corporate healthcare. I come from big business. I've built startups from the ground up downstate in the city. My last job, I was recruited by New York Presbyterian Hospital to develop vascular centers for them when they purchased the Queens Flushing Hospital. And prior to that, I had been recruited by a national vascular center company who wanted to start the Northeast region, and I got the Northeast region up and running for them. So that's my background. It's really healthcare, it's large corporate entities, but it's really from a startup perspective in a variety of different ways. And so for me, my passion, my niche being mostly healthcare, which is a regulated environment, right? So it's not a big lift to go into cannabis. I'm very familiar with that, having to deal with compliance. But my true passion is really building business. And so my husband's passion is growing this plant and everything having to do with it. And so it was a good meeting of the minds. I will fast forward to, we're right now in license transition. So for those of us who are under this conditional license, we have the opportunity to transition our license. We don't have to reapply. So we're basically guaranteed the next tier up of license as long as we're in good standing, which we are. The other thing about me is, I'm sort of a networker. It's one of my superpowers. And so I was asked to be the chair of the cultivation committee for the Cannabis Association of New York. So I've been on the ground floor working with the OCM, they're the Office of Cannabis Management, helping to build or create, let's say, guidance, working in terms of lobbying. CANI is a lobbying advocacy organization. So I've been advocating for and lobbying for cultivators as a group and have very plugged into that community. Last year in 2023, the OCM allowed us to do what's called a Cannabis Growers Showcase, which is like what they call the farmers market model. It was because my committee lobbied for something like that. Why? Because I think what Jim was alluding to is that New York State, I'm going to keep my language very, very kind, messed up this whole rollout of the cannabis. Now, we all know here in this room in New York State on every level that New York is meant to be the number one internationally in the cannabis space, right? We have the financial district here, all of the pieces of the puzzle suggest that New York is going to be the rising star at some point. And it was meant to happen really quickly, and that's what the data shows, and that's what we built our business model on, our financial model going into this on, which our financial model and our business plan was always to build a 60,000 square foot indoor cultivation facility. And that's what I've been sharing with you guys for the last 2 years. We have been working with Jim and Glenn talking about property in Walton, where we want to build the facility and really bring in a lot of revenue and resources and support to that community. So then all of this happened and we segued into the outdoor grow. That was what we were allowed to do under this particular license. And now we're segueing into a micro business license, which is less than what we had originally planned, meaning we can grow less product, but we have a vertical integration. It's the only vertically integrated license type. That means that we can grow, we can distribute our own product. We don't have to pay someone else to do it. We can process, we can manufacture, and we can actually have, if we wanted, a small dispensary to sell our own products. So that vertical integration opens up so many doors. Right now, what we did was we expanded into manufacturing gummies, which are one of our top sellers. On top of, aside from our flower, we have so many different product lines sort of in the work in terms of R&D, which we have had to pay others to produce for us. Now we'll be able to do that in-house. So there, it expands our opportunity for revenue generating and also branding our market, our market share and all of those things. I have a somewhat of a reputation in the state right now within the industry for being that person who's advocating and lobbying. I was just in the city on Tuesday in a suit, which has been a long time, and I really liked it. On stage with Tremaine Wright. If anyone's following this industry, Tremaine Wright is the chair of the Office of Cannabis Management. She is the head honcho in this state for this. I was asked to be on a panel discussion with her and one other woman who's also a thought leader in the industry. So I did that on Tuesday. I've got a reputation a little bit for that kind of stuff. My husband, though, has developed a reputation for his grow, for his product. Ravensview Genetics, we're the only people in this industry in New York State who are talking about genetics. He's been collecting a seed bank for 15 years. He's what we call a legacy operator. And he's got access to and promotes the purity of the plant as nature intended. That means that the plant medicine is intact. That means that the full plant profile is intact. Coming from health, I always liken it to the difference between eating GMO foods or processed foods and eating whole organic foods. We're on the whole organic food side of the spectrum for the genetics. I've been networking. So what happened in New York, and I'm going to wrap this up fast. What happened in New York is, by the end of 2022, they were supposed to have had 300 dispensaries open. December 31st of 2022, or December 30th of 2022, they did a ribbon cutting at their first dispensary, right? It was a big camera opportunity. The OCM was there, they did their thing, and that was it. 2023 came and they started slowly rolling out some of these openings of dispensaries. And then there's been lawsuits, there's been injunctions, and the whole industry got shut down. No dispensaries were opening for a good long time. So I think by the end of 2023, we maybe had 12, 15 dispensaries open tops, and the whole supply chain got stuck. So we had produced 1,400 pounds of top grade, excellent product in 2022. We produced, say 900 pounds of even better top grade quality product in 2023, and the floodgates are now opening. So as we speak, in these last so many months in this year, we are up to 70 dispensaries that are open. A lot of the folks that I've been developing relationships with over time are now finally getting open. But the other thing that's really become interesting is with our reputation for having top shelf, high-end, high-quality product, is that we're curating very specific, special relationships. There's someone that we met, I don't know, a year ago, who's opening finally on 5th Avenue. They own the old Nat Sherman cigar building. It's 3-story. Frank Sinatra used to go there. There's a smoking room, a lounge, a room where 007 had his special place of cigars, and all of these famous people, the back room for the VIPs to sneak in the backs. They wouldn't be seen. We're working with them. They've curated exactly which of our products they want. We're doing private labeling products for them with special boxes that are reminiscent of the old cigar that have their featured name and, all of that kind of stuff. I just connected with someone in Albany who's opening 9 locations, wants something similar like that. So we've really gotten very creative. We have an amazing creative team. We're doing white labeling, things we never thought we would have to consider or that we would consider, we're doing just to increase revenue. So the reason why we applied for this loan is because we're at that point, we're about to transition, we're getting into dispensaries. I need more resources to be able to meet demand of the orders that we have, we're either unable to fill because we need to produce more, or I just need manpower to fill them. I just need support like that. But my year for 2024 is hope. It was a really rough 2023, and we're starting to see how this thing is going to start to shape up, and I'm feeling really proud of our team for having positioned us in such a way that we're ready to just fly. So that's sort of an overview.
Can you talk about how the state is going to move forward here in 2024?
So right now, all license types are in the process of being approved, whether it's a transition like us or a new license that's been applied, there's been an application for. They originally promised to open 1,000 to 1,500 dispensaries. Right now, they're looking at supply and demand. So we have to report up to the state every 2 weeks how much supply we have. And they're now scaling back a little bit on how many dispensaries because they're watching that there may not be enough supply. So, which is a good thing. Other states have like just let people grow as much as they wanted and then the prices dropped. So I think, look, New York State has done all the right things. It just didn't pan out in the right ways. But so right now they're looking to have at least 500 dispensaries open by the end of this year, if not sooner. And then watching, just keeping an eye on that supply and demand and continuing to license people as they see the need.
And how long is licensing taking?
People have been already licensed. So
Well, in your particular case, your existing one runs out in May,
right.
and now as you go to a micro, does that take 6 months? or
Oh,
a
no,
year?
I'm so sorry. No, we're actually just in transition. So right now we're under 30-day review. So we'll have it by, I don't even know what month we're in, February, March, by the end of March. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we're already operationalizing as if there's a lot we can do under this current license that people will not be able to continue to do. So we can self-distribute right now. We can minimally process or do some mechanical manufacturing. And so we're already doing some of those things in preparation and getting our processing space set up, as well as the indoor grow. Anyone else?
How many licensed cultivators are there? in the
There were
state?
369, I think, under the AUCC or the conditional cultivator license. And right now, all of those have the opportunity. All of them are not transitioning because all of them didn't get this far, unfortunately. But they haven't put a cap yet on how many cultivation licenses that they're allowing. They're starting with that group. We have priorities. So I think what's going to happen is once that finishes, that process, they see how many of those and then they'll continue to license as they go.
Joanne, I've been following this, the industry in the press, and, you know, I know the story about the lawsuits and the injunctions and all of that, which has gone away now. Is the legislature, I mean, you're involved at the state level, but is the legislature on board and
Oh, yeah.
supportive of this industry?
Oh, yeah, of course. There's Cooney, Senator Cooney is running the cannabis, the legislative body for cannabis. So I went up there to Albany when they were meeting. They had their first session and they were interviewing. They had the OCM up there and interviewing them, and they just had, you know, CANI, the group that I'm, or the organization I'm a member of up there, and they just were gathering a lot of information and data. They're actually looking to put some kind of recompense fund together for cultivators who had, you know, product failures or things of that nature. And so my committee is working on helping to create that, what that looks like, that blueprint. So yeah, they're very much supportive.
And is the medical side of this as strong as the medical side's been in business for what, 2-3 years?
Oh, longer. Yeah, much
More.
longer than that. Yeah.
But is this, I asked the question backwards, started to, is the recreational side, do you see that becoming as strong as the medical side?
Oh, the medical side is, yeah, the recreational side is everything. The folks, it was actually said at the conference I was at on Tuesday speaking that, you know, a lot of people got into the medical because in anticipation of being able to get into the recreational. So it's, you know, the medical program in New York really never took off. It was never really super successful.
Okay.
There's very few. I'm actually working with a physician right now who only treats patients with using cannabis, THC cannabis. And she loves our genetics. So we're going to be going into some of the places, Zysa and I work together at New York Presbyterian. So we're going to be going into some of those places to do roundtable education for providers, for physicians, nurses, because some of our partners, our dispensary partners, are at Lenox Hill and they're, you know, in those areas. And the idea would be to educate the physicians so that they can meet their patients where they are, because most people are using it recreationally. Very few people, and quite honestly, the quality of the weed, of the medical weed, isn't that great. So, yeah. That's just my bias. Or what I hear.
The micro license, how, how does that really differ from the license you have now?
It's everything, because we could not process or manufacture under our current license. We can only grow outdoors or in greenhouses under the current license. Now we can grow indoors, which was always our plan. So there's a lot more controls, and you can really grow top quality weed if you know what you're doing. We can self-distribute. So currently we can, but that is meant to end after this license expires. So under the micro, we'll be able to self-distribute. I mean, the standard right now is 10 to 15% of sales. Whatever someone is delivering for us, they get a 10 to 15%. We're not paying that because we're self-distributing. Under the micro, we'll be able to continue to self-distribute.
When you say self-distribute, what do you mean by that?
Deliver our product.
It's like a brew pub model,
Yeah.
not through a third party.
Yeah,
It's like a
not
brew
through-
pub. They, from barley.
Right, so
to
it's on
grain to-
location, you can sell retail.
We can sell direct to, like, in other words, there's a distribution license. So people are gonna be required to use licensed distributors to move their product from their warehouse or their facility to the dispensaries. We'll be able to do it for ourselves. So it saves us some money, gives us more controls.
So so how does it work with the dispensaries? Do you end up having a contract with them, or they can adjust their sales monthly, determining how they want, or how does that work? And how many are you working with now that are actually buying, or if they're not actually buying, when do they plan to start buying?
We're currently actually physically in 17 right now, and we have about 23 more on our, like, I'm going up to Utica and I'm going to Rochester on Monday to get 2 more started. And then I'm going to Albany on Tuesday to meet with the person who has 9 locations that he wants us to fill. So, I mean, it's just happening exponentially. I just reached out to folks, you know, that we knew from 6 months ago, 8 months ago, who are finally opening. And so it's even hard to kind of forecast, but I will say that we can be in as many as we can actually service. You know, the limitation right now is on our bandwidth, truly. That's where we're limited. But there was another part of your question. I forgot.
Well, and have you started shipping
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
these?
Well, we
or-
bring that. Oh, so how the process is typically, people typically are reaching out to us either through Instagram or emailing or something. Or we're reaching out to the folks that we've been in relationship with. Everything is done through text. You asked about a contract. My attorney wanted to charge me a lot of money to get contracts. No one's using a contract right now. You know, they're texting, oh, I'd like to meet with you and have you, you know, bring X, Y, or Z. But we have, of course, we have a catalog, we have a purchase order form, we have a price list, and we always send that. Usually the next thing would be to drop by with samples for the bud tenders and or the owners. And so we do that. We do our dog and pony show. Typically they're reaching out to us, so they've probably tried the product at a conference or someplace I've been, you know, an event. And then we work on the order with them. I've been trying to minimize the amount that people take it at first, you know, instead of supplying huge orders, I'd rather do smaller orders just to get started and see what works in each demographic. Because we have new product lines coming out, and I want to make sure, we always recommend our top sellers to get started, but we work and play with them as well. So we just got into a big one in White Plains, and they ordered 150 of our gummies, of each of our gummies. We don't have enough to supply all of that, so we brought what we had left. But that's, you know, our gummies are very unique. It's a very niche market, and so people are glomming onto those and seeing that. So they tried to get everything that they could. But so it just depends. There's something called headset. So there's data analysis that we pay for that integrates with their point of sale system. So we can watch in real time how our sales are doing per location. So then we can track it, we can adjust, we can adapt based on the numbers and the demographic, you know, what we're seeing in the location. Right now, what we're hearing a lot in some of our dispensary from our partners is that there's a real need for low priced weed. I mean, we appeal to the high end, top shelf, top tier person, you know, someone who's going to spend a lot of money on a cigar. And we have everything in between, but they're really looking for sort of the bargain brand. No one's putting that out there. So we're going to go off label. We actually this week will be putting together what we're calling our off label brand. It's called Upstate Retreat. We're working with our what's left of our 2022 product. We're gonna be putting it in there. It'll retail for $22 an eighth. The lowest, our eighths go for anywhere between $38 and $50 an eighth. So at $22 an eighth, the people who walk in and say, what's the cheapest weed I can get? It'll sell. I was told by one of our partners in Buffalo, we have 8 up there, that they could sell 1,000 units of that every month. No problem, hands down. And so I've been asking other dispensaries as I've been going around, what do you think of that? And they're like, oh my God, we could sell that like crazy. So we keep trying to adapt and adjust to the industry as needed. I don't think, listen, I'll never say this to the state, but maybe there's a silver lining, right? Because we've expanded our product offerings, we've expanded sort of our thinking, we're doing white labeling. There's a company, Butter, they have a product line in Michigan. They came, they visited, they told us that Michael has the best outdoor weed that they've seen on either coast. And that we're in a white label. They're coming with their team, they're coming with their machines, and they're gonna just be taking our product, throwing it into pre-rolls, throwing it into their packaging and selling it. And all we have to do is provide the product and distribute it. And so that's gonna be a huge opportunity, which I never would have considered in a million years. I never would have considered white labeling our product when we're selling our product. But there's opportunity everywhere, and right now we're just being really creative.
So you in essence would be selling it out of state?
No, here.
Oh, you
So
can
they're
sell-
a Michigan brand. They
Oh,
can't work
okay.
in New York unless they work with a New York
Right,
cultivator.
okay,
So literally, we'd be, it's our product we're
Gotcha.
distributing, it's under our license, but it's their brand. That's what's happened. A lot of California brands are here working, trying to flood the market with a lot of their money and their brand and all that kind of stuff. And it's starting to not take off because, I'm not saying they're not doing well, because they're throwing a lot of money at it, but we're very much about New York for New Yorkers, and supporting New York as an industry.
If you're shipping now, right, how long is it gonna take you to, no pun intended, burn through 1,400 pounds?
So our plan is to sell through all of that by the spring. By the time
And then there's another 800 pounds.
Yeah, that and the 800, so that when our indoor product comes out and hits the market,
Which is
the premium stuff, yeah. We also have,
X amount of dollars.
I'm sorry? It's
Yeah,
taxed.
we have the projections on that. We'll go over that.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. And we're also, under this license, we can purchase 500 more pounds of flour from somebody else if we wanted to, if we have a need. So if we're doing white labeling or something like that, we might do that. We're really curating the strains that we're gonna be putting out with our industry partners that can support something on the high end.
So most of it's done, the contact is done through social media. I mean, I was at a diner in Hancock yesterday and a guy showed up from Clark Dairy and he had 3 bottles of milk and he's showing them the samples and
yeah.
gave them the price list.
Oh, no.
But you're not doing that.
Oh, we're doing that all the time. I was at an event, and let me tell you something, I'm old. Like, it's loud, it's smoky, I'm losing my voice every time, but no, we were at an award, Michael won an award for one of his strains at a Long Island Cannabis Cup, and I was there with our whole setup and our beautiful display and like yelling in people's ears about our product. And we did grower show, I told you last year we did the grower showcases. I organized the one at the state fair. So I was in Zooms with the governor's office, the OCM, the Department of Ags and Markets, Cannabis Association of New York, and myself. I was the organizer for it, and we had a presence at the state fair, first time ever, and we were there 12 days, 10 hours a day behind our display, and I met with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So we're doing this kind of stuff all the time. I was in Brooklyn screaming at the top of my lungs at an event just a month ago, and we turned on like 6 more new dispensaries, and then have contacts with people who were going to be opening. And then I ran into a lot of them on Tuesday when I was in the city, and it's a small, in some ways it's a small community, because if you do these things, if you're out there and you're doing the thing, you're meeting the same people and you're getting to penetrate the industry in a way that, in my opinion, that's the fun part. But yeah, so we are doing all of that. And that's why people are reaching out through Instagram. I organized a conference in Buffalo last year. It was a huge conference for the industry. So, I'm doing all those things, going to hospital, all the things to get the word out. And that's why we have a reputation. Our brand awareness is huge. I was on a Zoom with 2 women from Canada yesterday, and they said, oh, Ravensview Genetics, you're everywhere. And I'm like, okay, good. Everyone thinks we're everywhere, and that's good. You know, so that's why people reach out sometimes through Instagram.
Do you have company-specific social media
Yeah.
program? Okay.
Yeah, you could please follow us at Ravensview Genetics and go to our website.
Okay, any other questions for Joanne?
All right, I'm gonna look for 10 more followers when we leave here.
Anything for us you want to leave us with?
No, I don't think so. You guys are doing good.
Well, you look for a sample.
I'm in
Horse milk or something.
I got stuff. If you come to a chamber event, usually I'm giving them out at those.
They always look like they're having fun at the chamber.
One last question now, the vertical license, you said it enhances your processing abilities, like where you're processing gummies now, right?
We're not able to, so I
But
have,
that will allow you to.
it will allow us to do
So
any,
that'll actually allow you to add actually more value
Absolutely.
to your vet.
oh, absolutely. I
That'll
mean,
multiply the value of a pound.
oh, heck, yeah. I mean, I am paying a premium for our gummies right now because it's a Michelin rated chef. I told him no sugar, no gelatin, fresh fruit puree, you know, the whole thing. So we're paying a premium and that number can come way down.
So I have another question, sorry. It's, if you do transition into the processing and to the retail at your site,
Mhm.
are you allowed to do that zoning wise?
Yes, I actually had to get all of that permission before I had to get something signed off by the town when I put the application in. I'm not necessarily, two things I'm probably not gonna do is retail and processing. So when we're talking
Okay.
processing, it's processing manufacturing. It's the manufacturing part that we're really interested in.
Right.
The
gummy.
processing is a huge expense and we already have so much distillate, you know, that was produced from our product and opportunity to, you know, we have materials to use for manufacturing. We don't need to go into the whole processing thing. It's a whole different ballgame. And we're looking to scale up, you know, at some point with our grow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll go into an executive session and dig into the financial side of this. Did you want Joanne to stick around? No, okay. All right. And so, sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very
interesting. Good
job. Thank you for showing an interest in it.
I hope we totally confused you.
I followed part of it,
Yeah, I know.
which was the goal.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd.
It's difficult.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
John, good to
nice
see you.
seeing you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Just put it in. That's what she's running, her inventory at 1,800
Give it
now.
to Sean, we can bring it
She
up on the
says it's
screen.
usually 50 and 8, it's $400.
I gotta say, those conferences
Thank you,
sound like
Ryan.
a lot more fun than New York City EDC.
Both of those are.
I would think so, yes.
We'll see you.
I think this is dispensary.
I gotta
price.
make sure Joanne's not waiting out here.
Yeah.
Talk about it. So
I think, I don't think the
Can't
risk,
miss the barrels.
You have to
Is
have
the
the
company
company
or
or
the
the
business
business
more
more doesn't really work.
the right, that's the right person to look at. Right there, the lobby, right, so.
You can't go to the credit union.
But it's the state
And
is
if it's
one that's gonna
FDIC
create the
insured.
risk.
Right,
Oh,
yes, it's the
absolutely.
rollout of the dispensary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their ability to lock in.
The only problem is their cash flow's locked,
Hey, that's the issue.
that's it.
But maybe you should stick around.
Glenn's gonna need the help.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not after
Oh,
that.
I guess if I'm going outside, I can do that come.
If you're going to get a sample, you should tell me.
She's almost out of the parking lot.
Who's driving home?
Okay,
Who we missing? Just no?
Nobody.
Okay.
We're good to go.
We make a.
Yes, so we-
We should go into executive
No,
session.
Yes, we need a motion to go into executive session, please.
Yeah, he's supposed to meet his
So
wife up
moved.
here. They got some other
Second.
stuff to do in Delhi.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
so we can pause recording.
Or no?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You're okay?
I like to see purchase orders. That's the only thing I would say.
We got that as a requirement.
That'll be a requirement. They'll be required to provide us that. I don't
It's
want
to force them to focus on what they should be focusing on. They should not be focusing on how big the building's gonna be. They gotta
Right.
focus on getting rid of inventory, even if they get rid of some of the inventory on a discount. That will
Right.
save them. That will save them if they would consider getting rid of some of their inventory on a discount. That will save them.
Agreed.
I think they're thinking about this the wrong way. And if they get it together, they could
Word it.
have a good business, but
March 1st.
March 1st.
That's fine.
or February
Okay,
20th.
so
Yeah.
we have a second to come out of
Yes.
executive session. All right, so we're back live.
Yeah.
Record on.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, we're being recorded now.
Do we want to wait for Mike to come back in the room?
Yeah.
It's about as long as I thought it was gonna
An
take.
hour for a credit in one committee.
Yeah, right.
This was hairy, I get it.
sorry, Glenn was in the hot seat today.
That's fine. Hey, I
should
talked to
see him
Scott
sweating.
I talked to Scott yesterday. I knew what was coming.
You knew it was coming?
Oh, yeah.
That's why he didn't sleep all night.
I slept like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much
A
alcohol was
couple
involved?
gummies and,
Slept the sleep of the innocent every night.
We've discussed, 157.5 loan with, and I call it with verification of financials. And I know that Scott had a laundry list.
Yes.
Yep, per list provided to Glenn.
So can I have a motion to do that loan as
So
promised to Lifeline? Bruce? Can I have a second?
Second.
Scott, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One opposed, okay. Motion carried. Glenn, you can work with them.
yep, I'll be in touch with them this
You got the
afternoon.
authority
I'll
to-
get the terms out this afternoon.
Understand.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. I know this was a painful one.
It
So,
required a long discussion.
any other old or new business for the LDC other than lunch? And I'll have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Appreciate.
You look
Okay.
like,
Thanks,
look like-
guys.
you look like you lost 10 pounds in this meeting, Glenn.
No, I'm okay. Look, are we out of session?
Yeah.
Okay, in my mind,